Hello, everyone, and welcome to a book talk part one. During this hour, we are going to discuss 1-minute mentoring, how to find and work with a mentor, and why you'll benefit from being one. This is by Ken Blanchard and Claire Diaz Ortiz. Couple of things I want to keep in front of you before we get started. We are going to be covering part one of this book today. So if you haven't read it, don't worry about it, totally fine. We're gonna give you guys a synopsis of what this part one covers and who the main characters are and what some of their struggles are in establishing their mentorship relationship with each other. I also wanna mention that this is a book talk. So I have a great panel that's going to share their ideas, share their experiences, both personal as well as professional. And we're also going to share our ideas around this book, this thought-provoking book, throughout the call. But because it's a book talk, I want to invite you all to participate, because you guys have ideas and experiences and questions that can really enrich this conversation. So I want to encourage you guys to use the chat feature throughout the hour to send us your ideas, your questions, and your comments. And if you're bold enough, by all means, raise your hand and we'll be happy to unmute you. And then before we get into the actual introduction portion, I do want to talk about this reflection slide. So I'm in learning and development, and really one of my things is to just get people engaged right away. So I have a quote here from Bob Proctor, world-renowned author, motivational speaker, super successful guy, who said, "A mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself and helps bring it out of you." The reflection question I have for all of you is, who has been your mentor? And I like asking these questions, and I like putting in front of my audience these quotes, because really as a learning and development professional, I want you to get engaged immediately so you can start framing your mind around this topic, wrapping your mind around this topic, and finding ways to connect to the topic right away, because the what's in it for me is absolutely important for you. So hopefully you guys had some time to think about who your mentor is, or maybe you are a mentor. So whatever your situation is, this conversation is going to be relevant to you. Let's go ahead and move on. So introductions, I will go ahead and start. Hi, my name is Stacy Williams, and I am the Senior Learning Manager here at Collaborative Solutions. And I've been with the company for 5 years. And it's my and my team's responsibility within the organization to make sure that every collabie or employee within this company has all the tools and resources they need to be successful in their roles. So that's me. And I also want to take a moment to answer the reflection question, which is, who has been my mentor? So as I talk about this book, I might be referring to Bobbi Duckworth. So Bobbi Duckworth has been my mentor since I was 19 years old, and I am well past my teenage years. He is still in my life, and he has really guided me through so many different challenges, ups and downs in life. He's basically seen me grow up, and he has played a crucial role to my spiritual development, my intellectual development, even my social and personal development. And who knew he was going to be like this important in my life at this stage in my life? He was originally my kickboxing instructor, and he just managed to just be a part of my life beyond the ring. So he is my mentor, and I am forever grateful for him. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the buck to one of our Collabie book club members. And I should mention, one of the cool things about working for Collaborative is our culture is very organic. And the Collabie book club is an example of that. It's something that we wanted for ourselves and by ourselves. So we have now Gretchen to represent one of two of our Collabie book club members. So go ahead, Gretchen, take it away. You're on mute.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Stacy. Sorry about that, everyone. My name is Gretchen Kraus. I've been with Collaborative for almost 4 years now. It'll be 4 years in a few weeks' time. And currently, I've had mentors throughout my life, similar to Stacy. One of my longtime mentors is my previous Kung Fu instructor, and Lacey Colley. Yeah, he is amazing, and I still and it doesn't have to be Kung Fu related, but I'll still hear his voice in my head when I do certain things. And it's always it gives me guidance as to how to react to certain situations. So that's always helpful. On a work level, my current mentors are Rob McKenna and Antonia Plazabat, who have been phenomenal with guiding me and helping me in my current role as contracts administrator.
Love it. Thank you, Gretchen. All right.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Jackie Reeder. I am a consulting services manager here at Collaborative. I'm also one of the associate consultant program managers. I've been with Collaborative for 1.5 years now. And my mentors, I've had several different mentors over the course of my career. I had some that were really, really influential during my undergraduate and graduate school years and my early career. And those that are my mentors right now are my manager, Paul Nicotera, and my co-manager, Donna Berendez, who both have been really great and just absolutely essential to me becoming a manager and navigating the manager life and how to be a better manager.
Love it. Thank you, Jackie. So we do have 2 special guests that are joining us as well, and this is our Collabi mentor pair. So let's go ahead and start with Joshua, and Joshua, you can go ahead and then pass the buck to DeAndre, your mentee.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, great. Hey everyone, I'm Josh Montano. I'm a senior manager. I've been with Collaborative about 7 years now in our integrations practice. I've had the privilege of having several mentors throughout my life. Some point in time mentors and some kind of current mentors that have really spanned that entire time, and some that were kind of more recent from joining Collaborative. So I do have a college professor mentor that worked with me to really help me find my passion, figure out what direction I wanted to go into as far as a career. And then from the standpoint of my first real consulting job, this was more formal because that was actually a career counselor that was assigned to me. And she turned out to be someone that lived literally 5 minutes away. And we ended up, even to this day, still meeting for coffee and kind of just talking about our careers, family life, and just personal life, and just kind of see, where we both are at and get advice from each other. And then here at Collaborative, from the beginning, the very, very beginning of joining Collaborative, Jack Hawkins has been my mentor, and I've been very lucky that he's also been a coach at the same time. So we can certainly kind of dive into that a little bit later, coaches and mentors. But yeah, I've just been so lucky to have these people in my life.
That's fantastic. How convenient it is to have your mentor only 5 minutes away.
Yep.
Mine lives in Hawaii, but hey, All right, thank you, Joshua. And DeAndre, you're on.
Hi, everyone. I'm DeAndre Jones, and I'm an associate consultant here at Collaborative. I've been with Collaborative a little over 7 months now, so I started this past June. I've also had a few mentors within my short lifespan of 25. One of the most notably of my personal mentors, Bradley Kramers, who was my lieutenant in the military. He's been a great mentor to me. And then now actually Joshua, who's been my mentor for over the past few months, we started with the Collaborative mentoring program.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us, DeAndre. And thank you for joining us, Joshua and panel. I think we're going to have a great discussion. And again, it's a book, okay? If you have ideas, experiences, and I'm not just talking to the panel, I'm talking to the audience, feel free to share it with us through chat or raise your hand, and we will unmute you because we want this to be a good conversation around 1 minute mentoring. So I want to kick it off by talking about the summary that is inside the sleeve of the book, because I think this really kind of summarizes the gist of the conflict, the characters, and really what we're going to get out of this book as we read it together. Okay, so bear with me. It says, working within a mentoring relationship is a powerful way to grow your career. Whether you're learning from a seasoned pro or passing along your wisdom, mentoring offers a host of benefits, from increased knowledge and skills to elevated energy and deep satisfaction. But how do mentoring relationships begin, develop, and thrive? And what are the guidelines for keeping a mentoring relationship on track? These answers can be found in the engaging business parable that we call 1 Minute Mentoring. So let me go ahead and move this a little bit forward. Josh Hartfield, 27, has been in the same sales job for 5 years. He's burned out, his career is stalled, and he isn't even sure he wants to work in sales anymore. A chance encounter leads Josh to Diane Bertman, a high-performing sales executive about to turn 60, who's stretched too thin by a relentless schedule, and she's beginning to wonder if she should retire. From their first meeting at a place called Bayside Grill, Josh and Diane know they have a lot to learn from each other. As the relationship develops, they discover the power of mentorship. And it goes on to kind of give you what I call a spoiler. So I'm not going to tell you what they get out of this mentorship relationship. We want you to read the book along with us. But I do want to kick off the conversation by talking about something that a lot of people really struggle with is how do you find the right mentor, or how do you find a mentee that you want to develop and work with? So in the book, Josh meets a few different potential mentors at the advice of his dad. And these mentors, for whatever reason, don't match his values, they don't match his personality, whatever it is, but he goes on this journey of interviewing a few different people, and they're just not jiving. And it wasn't until he started talking to Linda, the chapter president of the Boys and Girls Club. No, it wasn't Boys and Girls Club. It was Big Brothers and Big Sisters, that he was introduced to Diane. So with that stated, I want to explore the question of how do you guys find, or how did you guys find your mentor? Anybody on the panel want to tackle that first? Go ahead and share your webcam if you're ready.
I think I can go ahead and tackle it. I've always been blessed enough to have a mentor find me. And so my mentors have always been like teachers, coaches. Lieutenant Kramers was in the military with me. We both had the same job. But Joshua was actually the first mentor I went searching for. And so when I joined Collaborative introduced us to the new mentoring program. And Collaborative for me was definitely a change. And it was new to technology. I'm recently graduated from college, and so I wanted to be mentored within the company as well. And that's something that was very important to me. And when Collaborative gave the opportunity, I just utilized Kronos and was able to find Joshua. So.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so for those of you guys who are not familiar, Collaborative Solutions has this mentorship program. It's relatively new. Cronus, and this is one of the best ways to find a mentor within our organization. So if you haven't checked it out, by all means, check it out, because we have a lot of different profiles on there. And DeAndre, I'm glad to hear that it worked for you, and that's hopefully something that is going to continue to work for you and Joshua as you progress through your mentorship relationship. Cool, thank you, DeAndre. Anybody else want to talk about how they found their mentor?
Sure. I've always gotten really lucky in having great managers, and so my manager has been my coach. They've been my manager, and they've been my mentor, and that's been a really effective strategy, especially coming up through to this point in my career. And I love that we have Cronus and have a tool and a formalized mentorship program, because now that I'm at this place in my career, I want to be able to expand my network and expand who I'm interacting with, and getting some tips and tricks and guidance outside of my specific skill set and my specific job. And so I'm excited to use that and get a mentor and see where I can go with that.
For sure. Definitely. Thanks,
So
Jackie.
when I was in college, I actually had my mentor find me. Dr. Miner is his name, and now he's no longer really my active mentor, but it was, at that point in time, a really great fit. But he found me because I was in one of his classes and I was struggling. And he realized, it was an opportunity for him to help somebody. And I certainly at that time wasn't really looking for help. I feel like we're not always looking for help, but we know we need it. So
Yeah.
a little bit of a stubborn Joshua during the college years. But then, the more when he approached me, I was kind of humbled by it. Like, okay, this guy really wants to help. And certainly I respected him very much, just from the standpoint of he had been my professor for about a year or two. And just knowing that I was really kind of struggling with not just the subject matter, but just knowing what it was that I wanted, what direction I wanted to go. And then we started meeting regularly then, and, just kind of took off from there. And what do you know, 10, 12 years later, technology consulting, right? So
Yeah. So you know what, Joshua, like it started out as a very academic focused type conversation, but over the course of several meetings, you guys started kind of expanding your conversations into personal stuff. Do you feel like you maybe have helped him in certain ways?
I like to think so. And really, we were very much in two different spectrums, right? I mean,
Mhm.
student, sophomore, junior in college. He was very tenured. It was actually interesting to kind of get to know him, one as a mentor and as a person, as opposed to just my professor. Very, very interesting person, because he actually not only taught database, which is, someone who, like, he smoked a pipe, had a really long beard, totally opposite, right? Like, you would never think that this guy is like totally tech savvy and knows his stuff. But he was also a prison minister, so it was just like a really interesting. He was just a really interesting person. And I think that's how
personality.
yeah, and that's how I think the mentorship really evolved, is because I stopped seeing him as just, this guy is my professor. He's like this whole person who has all these other facets about him, right? And that helped
you can
me
learn
kind of
from, right?
yep, and it helped me kind of broaden my mindset going forward.
Yeah, lovely. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, so along that line, I actually didn't know that my mentor, Bobby, was also a pastor, and he also like helped with other martial arts gym, and he has a son, like there's just so many things that you learn about your mentor on a personal and a professional level that just deepens that relationship and makes it a lot more meaningful. At least that's in my experience. So cool.
Definitely.
Thank you. I don't know, Gretchen, if you wanted, or if anybody else wanted to throw in some thoughts around how you guys found a mentor and what became of that.
Sure. Yeah. Similar to Jackie, with Antonia and Rob, I met them as peers and managers in my current position with Collaborative Solutions. So that was definitely, and it continues to be very, very helpful for me. But I feel like Collaborative, in addition to the mentor network, I feel like besides my main mentors, that everybody at Collaborative is almost like mini mentors, because oftentimes, if I seek help, even in the smallest of applications, you'll have like 5 or 6 people chiming in going, oh, I can help you. I know how to do that. And I feel like this is something that's like constant at Collaborative, and that there's always this sort of like helping relationship. So it kind of feeds into the larger mentor network, because the mindset is already there. So that was really very helpful.
Yeah.
At Collaborative, not just recently, but when I first joined, it was really very, welcoming. Made life great. Yeah. And then, of course, with my previous Kung Fu instructor, I met him just simply to learn Kung Fu. And I didn't know that it would grow into this larger relationship, and that it would affect me years beyond in my life, but it certainly has.
Yeah. So question for the panel, and I'm going to improv this a little bit. Do you guys know why they called it 1 minute mentoring? Because I'm bringing this up, Gretchen, because you mentioned mini mentoring. our mini mentors. So did we catch that in the beginning? I think it was in the intro of the book. Did you guys catch why it's called 1 Minute Mentoring?
I think I read over.
DeAndre, did you not read the intro?
Well, what it mentions is the best advice is usually given in small little bits on the spot. That's all you need. So, when people are thinking about joining or forming a mentorship, it doesn't have to be this year-long thing. It doesn't even have to be, a lifetime thing. It can be, for one project, in our case, at Collaborative, or it could be as you're onboarding for a new role, like Gretchen had mentioned. So it can be these little snippets in your life. It doesn't have to be this fully evolved, grown, thing, formal. It doesn't. It's really the most productive and effective mentoring relationships happen organically when they're needed, and they end when they're needed. You know what I mean? So it's called 1 minute mentoring because those are when people get the most out of mentoring relationships, is when you need it on the spot. When it's done, it's done. So I thought that was very interesting. That was a very interesting point to me, is this whole flash mentoring, or as Gretchen said, mini mentors. I like that. Gretchen, thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like if more people really, were told that, right? Like, mentoring is not this whole big thing. It's just, it can be in these small doses, then it would be less intimidating, I think, to people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that, because I think that's something that really shied me away from looking for a mentor, was I have to establish this lifelong relationship. And with me personally, sometimes I'm more of an internal person. It's hard for me to meet someone and be open as I am with people that I don't. I think that's the case for a lot of people. And so after reading this book and having that understanding that, you can meet someone, they can just be there for a short period of life, but they can still have a great impact in your life, is definitely something important.
Yeah, agreed. And DeAndre, you bring up a good point, which leads me to my next section, or my next question around essence and form. So in the book, the authors use Josh and Diane's initial meeting at the Bayside Grill to introduce a concept called essence and form that I never heard of until I read this book. So I just want to take a quick moment, read directly from the book about what essence and form is. And mind you, this is Diane, the mentor, talking to Josh, the mentee, during their first meeting. She says, there are two aspects of working with someone, essence and form. Essence is all about sharing heart to heart and finding common values. Form is about structure, how we might work together. Whenever I jump to form before exploring essence, it never seems to work out. So let's declare this lunch an essence meeting where we find out about each other, what we value, and what's in our hearts. So our next question that I want to pose to the panel is, how did you and your mentor break the ice when you guys met for the first time? And of course, what topics did you discuss? Because I will tell you right now, this whole essence and form thing was not on my radar when I kicked off my relationship with my kickboxing instructor, right? With me, it just evolved. Our instructor-student relationship became a friendship, and then a mentorship almost. So I never really had that chance to have that structured conversation. But I'm just curious to know, how did you guys break the ice during your first meeting with your mentor, and what did you guys discuss?
So I don't know that I would call it essence then form. I don't know that was what came to my mind. But I feel like that's something that, in my role as a people manager at Collaborative, I'd always approached my direct reports, and when I'm, meeting with them for the first time, as more of a personal meeting. Let me get to know you. And so when DeAndre and I got on our first call, our first meeting, the first thing we jumped into, and DeAndre, I hope that you have the same memory as I do when we met. I definitely wasn't like, okay, we're going to talk about personal first and then move into, it was very informal. And we kind of dove right into learning about each other's personal life and just kind of high level goals, you know. We didn't really talk logistics like right away.
Yeah, so you knew the concept of essence and form. We didn't call it essence and form. That's great. DeAndre, you were gonna say something.
I was gonna say that's something that actually surprised me. So whenever I hear of like a corporate workplace mentoring program, I think of corporate. And so when Joshua came, she actually sent me questions to ask about, and they had nothing to do with like work. And so it was more like, what do I like to read? Where do I want to go in life? Like, what are some of the best things I like to do? I really like to read. And something that really stuck out to me that Joshua told me was like, I sent her a list of nothing but business books and finance books because that's kind of what I'm focusing on right now. But she was like, you can throw in some nonfiction in there. It was something that stuck out to me because I was feeling burnt out on those type of things and just focusing. And that's something that's actually helped me learn to love to read again, I guess, even more. Instead of it being a task, it's something I've started to enjoy even more when I started incorporating those different books in my life. And that's just something that she's bought, something she changed about me in the short time she's been my mentor.
Wow, she noticed something maybe you didn't really notice. Great, thank you.
We'll have to bring you over to the other book club, DeAndre.
Definitely.
With the
And I'll say one of my most effective mentor relationships that I have, where I'm the mentor, is somebody who was assigned on a project with me, and it was just me and him on a project. And this has been a little over a year ago now that we got assigned together. He was on the analyst role, and I was in the lead role, and it was just the two of us. And the first time we met, just to try to level set and say, okay, like, let's get to know each other. Let's get to know what our working styles are and what his goals are, of what he wants to do at Collaborative, what he wants to do on this project, what he's comfortable with. And so that way we got to know each other, because I really wanted to set the stage of that this is a partnership and that we're in this together and we're in the trenches together for the next 6 months. Little did we know it was going to be the next 9 months. But being able to set that stage and understand each other and know that, you know, you can come to me with anything, that, you know, we're on this project together, we're in it together, and have that relationship. And if there's anything that I could find to get him more exposure on or experience on, or something that he wanted to build up on, that I knew that walking in. And so it's been a really great relationship. And as we've gone through, we got done with that project and we ended up getting on another project together. And so being able to hit the ground running and knowing what his strengths are and where he wants to keep growing, and being able to keep, you know, getting those opportunities for him has been really great. Being able to set the essence at the beginning and then the form. And then once we had that cadence good and set and strong, then it was really great and easy to keep going.
Yeah. You know, and I'm sure your mentee is really glad that you offered so much support for him in the very beginning, you know, because a lot of mentees, they don't know how to take that lead, right? They don't know where to go from there. So when a mentor steps up and says, hey, let's talk about this, let's do this, where do you want to go? I'm going to help you get there. Those are like magical words to someone, especially new to a company and new to the career world, right? It's just like, oh, good, this person is going to walk alongside me, lockstep with me, you know, take that emotional and that professional journey with me, and we're going to get through this. I don't know how, but she does, so I'm cool with that. You know, and you build trust that way, you know, and it's nice that you guys go on project to project, and, you know, at some point, this person's going to fly the coop, and, you know, he is going to be forever grateful for all that work and effort you've put into him. You know, that's just one of the beautiful things about mentoring, right? Is you build such a solid relationship with that person.
Exactly.
And I would say, as a mentee, that I've definitely appreciated that aspect of each of my current mentors, with that they've given me the information I need, but then they also slowly push me out of the nest. You know, like they give me these small indications, and, you know, okay, you do that now. You know, I'm letting you fly on your own. You know, so but it's sometimes you need that, because you always, like, sometimes even if you're doing all the things right, you still don't feel 100% confident that you can jump from the nest, so sometimes you need a mentor to go, nope, it's time, and, push you on your way.
Get out of your comfort zone.
Right, exactly. So.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to bring up the idea of a mission statement, because that was obviously something that the authors hit pretty hard, as it's its own chapter. And basically what they talk about with the mission is creating a goal. And Jackie, you brought this up when you were talking about your mentoring relationship just now, where you said, okay, where do you want to go with your career? Like, where are we going, right? How are we going to know we have accomplished what we need to accomplish if we don't know what we're trying to accomplish? So one of the things that they say in the book is a mission statement is essential to really to the beginning of any mentoring relationship, because again, it sets the tone for the rest of that relationship. Like, what are you guys looking to accomplish together? So let me just quickly read an excerpt from the book about what a mission statement is, okay? So this is Diane talking, and she says, a mission gets at the purpose of our mentoring relationship. While our mission statement doesn't have to be complicated, it should be written with care, because it will be the most important thing we'll agree on together. So do you guys think that a mission statement is really that important?
After reading the book, I feel like that's a way to, like for DeAndre and I, it's a very informal mentor-mentee relationship. And I think that's just both of our personalities that's causing that. But after reading the part 1 of the book, I was thinking we do need something a little bit more formal to hold this together. And I'm going to bring up on our next meeting, DeAndre, that we're going to come up with a mission statement. But I think it is important, whether it's a formal one, not necessarily. I'm not going to laminate anything into a card and put it on my wallet, like in the book. Like in the book. But I do think it's important. It could be an informal kind of message that you guys both speak to. I don't necessarily think it needs to be super formal, that you have it like written up and you see it every time you meet. So
Yep.
But I understand the purpose of it, for sure.
Yeah, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but did the mission statement only center around Josh, or was it also like Diane? I know Diane got something out of it, but maybe their mission statement only mentioned
mentioned Josh.
Only mentioned Josh.
Yeah, it was to help Josh find his passion.
Yes.
Josh also had his mission statement for Diane in his phone about what she wanted out of the mentor relationship as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So
Josh's was more thorough.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh, I think, did his on his phone or something.
Yeah, he did it on his phone.
He did.
Okay. Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say that I know that mission statements can sometimes be overlooked, or it's I could see where people would not think that's an important part of the process, but I feel that if you put a mission statement in place in the beginning of the relationship, then as the relationship continue, you can check back and make sure you're still on track, make sure that the goals that you wanted to achieve are being met. So I think it's a good way to kind of like recenter yourself from time to time and make sure that that both of you as a mentor and a mentee are going in the direction that you want to go in.
Yeah, agreed.
And you mentioned something, Gretchen, about looking back. And so I do think that's like a big thing about the mission statement as well, because Joshua has made a lot of impacts on me, and I don't think I do a good enough job in letting her know that. And so even like me reading more, but that also goes with our personalities. Like Joshua said, we're very informal, and I'm an informal person, so I'm not always looking to like tell you, yeah, I'm reading like 10 books now. And but it is if you do have a mission statement, it is a good way to continue to look back and just to continue to see how the relationship's affecting both of you.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Cool. But I want to go back to this question. So what did you guys talk about during your initial meetings with your mentors? So I didn't really have that formal meeting. Our friendship, mentorship was just so organic that we never had that formal meeting. But have you guys had any instances where you did have somewhat of a formal meeting? And Josh, you already explained what your situation was, but I'm curious to know about Gretchen and Jackie. Jackie, you mentioned, you did have that formal meeting. So Gretchen, did you ever have something like that with the other mentors in your life?
I'm trying to think. I think that since a lot of my mentors have been my managers, very similar to what Jocelyn was saying with, that first meeting is getting to know each other and getting to know each other. What's each other's styles? What are your sense of humors? What, how can we communicate in the best way for each other? I have a really dry sense of humor, so I need to know if when I make really silly jokes and puns that, are they going to find those humorous or are they going to roll their eyes? And, like, how can we dive together and be able to let our hair down a little bit, as well as being able to speak freely and know that, establish that this is a safe place. That establishing that trust whenever you don't have any trust because you don't know each other, I think is so important with any type of a mentoring relationship or coaching relationship, is getting that trust and being able to say, hey, like, you can trust me. These are some of the pieces that I've struggled with and that I'm still working on to kind of show some of that vulnerability, but really trying to establish the trust.
Yeah. And that really goes back to the essence and form piece. You guys have to mold as people, right? Personalities have to drive so you can let your hair down, like you said. So yeah, that's great. Thank you. All right. One of the best things about the book, and this is the whole like overarching theme, is both the mentor and the mentee benefit from this mentoring relationship. A lot of people think, well, it's 70-30 or something like that. 70% the mentee benefits and 30% the mentor benefits. But honestly, like any relationship, after reading this book, and really just kind of my life experience, the more you put into a relationship, the more you get out, and mentoring is none the different. So I'm not going to tell you what Josh and what Diane got out of the mentoring relationship, because you got to read the book, right? You got to know, you got to read the book to know how it ends and what they get out of it from each other and from themselves. But I want to know, to the panel, what has been your most impactful takeaway from your mentoring experience? And please be specific. I'm curious.
I'll start with that. So for my Kung Fu instructor, the most impactful takeaway for me, the little things that he taught me along the way, like I said, the voice in my head that I still hear, is the basic concept of Kung Fu, because Kung Fu translated roughly means time and effort, right? So it doesn't have to apply to a martial art. Like, that can apply to anything in life. Anything in life that you put time and effort into, you're going to yield some sort of positive result. And so that was probably like the most impactful thing that I took away from that experience, was that can be applied everywhere. If you just, anything that you're looking to improve or create something positive in your life, if you just put time and effort into it, it will come to you.
Love that. Did not know Kung Fu meant time and effort. What a good takeaway for today. Love that. All right, other thoughts?
So from my my mentorship, and I kind of want to talk from the standpoint of my own personal mentorship and then my experience with DeAndre, my mentorship with DeAndre. But when I was assigned that career counselor at this big 5 firm, it seemed very formal, right? Because you're being assigned this person. And so it took a little while, right? Just to pinpoint, okay, what do we have in common? How do we make this work? But you could always request another career counselor if it didn't work out. But this one just happened to, we both kind of hit it out of the park. We were, now we're like a decade-old friends. But what I really took away from that mentorship was that I should never be afraid to do things on my own terms, because I think that what ultimately will make me happy, if I'm able to kind of not to say control things, but to really just from like a balance standpoint. So her name is Debbie Green. Her name is Debbie Green, and she taught me a lot about one, being a woman in technology. That, you know, we can talk about, like, you know, women in diversity. We do have that also at Collaborative. But she really taught me about, you know, where's that ceiling? Is there even such thing as a ceiling? Doing things in your own terms, making sure that things work for you and that you're happy in what you're doing. And that was really, you know, my main takeaway with my mentorship with her, is that she really kept pushing me and pushing me. And just, you know, if you're unhappy with something, you don't have to settle for that.
Yeah.
You know, find the path forward, and that you do it on your own terms. And then my mentorship experience with DeAndre, that really, I think, for me, is bringing me full circle, being heavily involved with what we call, formerly called the analyst program, now the associate consultant program. I stepped away from that role, but I still wanted to be involved with the young folks in our company. Having been at Collaborative for 7 years, I wanted to make sure that I was continuously still sharing my experiences, and helping other folks kind of find their path, and the opportunities that we have here at Collaborative. So for me, it was really important to kind of still stay connected with that group, but just not in that official capacity, because I was no longer a manager of the analyst program. And so I thought this was a perfect way for me to continue to be involved. And I was so happy when an associate found me on Cronus for the mentorship, and it's really worked out. And I'm like always love my time speaking with DeAndre. So
Love it. So it's like paying it forward, Joshua. Have you ever seen that movie?
yep,
I think it's a movie, Pay It Forward.
I try to do it at Starbucks every once in a while, like pay for the person.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
As long as they're not ordering, like, you know, like 5 sandwiches,
Yeah.
5 drinks.
Yeah, I do. I actually do the same thing. So, because I only go to Starbucks like every once in a blue moon. So if someone's behind me, drive through, because I can. If someone's behind me, I'll ask. Because I'm not paying if they're spending $30. Sorry. But if it's like, you know, if it's like $10, I'm like, okay, I'll pay for them. So
Yeah.
hopefully it continues. I don't know if it does, but hopefully.
Well, I'm sure they're most grateful. But that's really the mentoring spirit, right? The idea of just giving back. And a lot of us are in that privileged position where we have had a lot of support around us to get us where we are today. So why not give back to those people who were where we were like 10 years or 20 years ago in our career? And, you know, I actually want to stress that mentoring is not always about a generational thing, right? I feel like this has been our focus for this call, but I want to kind of expand the audience's and the panelists' mind around, it can also be like, you know, a millennial mentoring someone from Gen X, or it can be someone from one functional area like HCM mentoring someone from financials, right? Someone from internal mentoring someone from portfolio, right? So everybody has different career trajectories and different desires for themselves. And the cool thing about Collaborative is it gives us the opportunity to really just kind of explore our options through this program. So, you know, I mean, there's so many things that anybody, you know, the most seasoned people from the top down can really benefit from. I mean, if I were like far removed from, you know, let's say that I was like a senior or a vice president, general, you know, like a vice president or something, and I would want to keep ear to the ground by maybe mentoring someone or someone mentoring me who's at that level that will allow me more visibility into what that experience is. You know, there's just so many creative ways to twist and turn a mentoring relationship so that two people can really benefit. So, I want to just kind of put that bug in everyone's ear that mentoring is anything you want it to be. It really is. You know, and I think you guys are hitting on that by saying, hey, you know, like I've done this and now I'm doing this and I'm helping this person, because that's what mentoring is. And honestly, like that mentoring spirit of paying for someone in a Starbucks line, like it's all about giving, but it's also about receiving, because again, you get what you give, right? So I think that's fantastic.
But to add to that, I actually was a mentor, a very short-term mentor for someone in our APAC region. And I was really excited about that mentorship opportunity, and we really did connect. However, logistics prevented us, right, from being able to really follow through on a consistent mentorship relationship. But that would have been definitely more of like, I guess, a lateral type of mentorship relationship where I was learning a lot from him, because he was also a manager, but he was part of Theory of Mind. So learning about that area and our acquisition. So I was super excited, but then super bummed out just because from a logistics standpoint, we literally had like a 1 hour time frame that we would be able to meet. And it was like super early for him and super late for me. So I had a really hard time kind of letting go of that one, but I knew it was the right thing to do because he would, I was able to connect him with somebody on our Pacific time zone that made a lot more sense and he could really connect with. But yeah, I mean, there's opportunities like that where you can really learn from someone that's at level, and just see, what they're doing on their, on their side, or so on the other side of the ocean. Yep. So just, disappointed. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But it was definitely an opportunity that, I would do again if the logistics worked out.
Yeah, and it sounds like you helped Joshua. I mean, just by passing the buck to someone who is more accessible.
Yep.
They maintain some sort of a relationship and help this other person grow.
Yeah, and from what I knew from, the 2 or 3 meetings where we really tried to make it work, and then when we realized, okay, this might not work, I was kind of like, okay, who, really thought truly, like, who would most benefit this person if I were to refer them to another person that could be their mentor? And that was like a theme, right, in the book, as Josh was trying to find his mentors, and some people just end up not being the right fit. But they may be your doorway to the person that is the right fit.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, as we get closer to the top of the hour, I want to just remind the audience, hey, we want to hear what you have to say. So if you guys have any stories, if you guys have any questions for the panel, if you guys want to talk about the book a little bit, just use your chat box or raise your hand. Panel, help me keep track of who's raising their hand, and we'll unmute you. But again, it's called a book talk because we want to talk about stuff that matters when it comes to this book, but also just mentoring in general. So if you guys need advice or anything like that, now is the time to start using that chat box to send us your ideas. And again, you're welcome to also unmute yourself. Just raise your hand and let us know you want to talk to us. We'll be happy to get you on here. But I want to go back to this question really quick. Did everybody kind of share their ideas around what you guys took from or did we stop at Joshua and DeAndre? I don't know, Jackie and Gretchen, did you ever get to answer this question?
I did. I was the time and effort with Kung Fu.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yes. I think that, yeah, mine was pretty much an echo of what the others had said and kind of an echo of what I had said before. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. So that brings us to our audience sound off. Again, if you guys have any questions or comments or would like to share, let me see if I can take a look at who's on the call. Oh, Bob has his hand up. Bob, I hope this is real. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. I hope this wasn't an accident, Bob. Here we go.
All right. Can you hear me?
Hey, you're on.
All right. Well, first of all, you guys are doing a great job. And but did bring up a question because in a corporate mentorship environment like we're in, I did have a question for you guys. So I'm really good on the essence part, but not as on the form part, right? So I can help build a relationship. But then as I'm mentoring people, what I'm not struggling with it per se, but what I'm kind of doing is letting the mentee be the one who runs with setting up the meetings, because what I don't want to do is be overbearing and make it like another task for them that, oh my gosh, now I have to go meet with Bob, next week. So your experience, like what do you think is best? Should we leave it up to the mentee, or are the mentees really looking for the mentors to schedule the meetings and make sure, because it's one of those things you just don't want to be too overbearing for someone who is just kind of getting into the workforce, and so I'll leave it up to you guys to answer.
Well, I definitely
I
think.
really-
Oh, go ahead,
No,
Gretchen.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, I will go ahead. So I think it really is based on what you find out when you're doing the essence talk, right? With DeAndre and I, we did in a way formalize it where we have a meeting on our calendar bi-weekly. However, both of our schedules can be all over the place. So we know that informally, we can both be flexible and make decisions to change it or meet in person. We're pretty lucky because we're both in Tampa. So we can meet in the office, and our mentorship extends from just those bi-weekly meetings to, hey, we're at a happy hour for our Tampa office, or we're just at the office and we're passing by each other and saying hello and having a quick chat. But I really do think that it has to be a combination of the mentor and the mentee agreeing to who's going to take a lead. But really, I think it really depends on that essence piece, like what you determine from the personalities. Because you may have a mentee that is just, I'm looking to be led, and that's what this works out to be. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
And I think the only other thing I'll say is sometimes I've taken over the scheduling of things because my calendar is a lot uglier than theirs, and I know what can more easily be moved around. And so there's sometimes I'm like, it's okay, I'll do it because I know what I can move around or what I don't necessarily have to attend. But I agree 100% with Jasmine that it should be, the two people are equal in terms of trying to get things scheduled and trying to, plan out those future meetings and future sessions.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jackie. And one of my mentees actually lives in Australia and was on a project in Korea, right? So we're just trying to figure out okay, how do we make this work? But we did make it work. But we're meeting once a month. It's not every other week, so it's a little bit more doable than Josh. I think you were trying to do it more, regularly. So that's working well so far, and it's helping me as a mentor just learn more about, he came from the theory of mind acquisition as well, and learning more about what they're doing over there, and as he's getting acclimated into collaborative, so it's very energizing.
And one thing to point out, Bob, is in the book, and I know you read this book, one of the things that keeps Diane and Josh connected on a regular basis, because they're both really busy, is just email and other forms of communication, right? Mm-hmm. So let's not forget that we can also keep in touch with each other through email. And we all know it's not as personal, but hey, if it keeps the ball moving in an incremental fashion, let's use it, right? And then let's use those opportunities, those rare opportunities, like in Joshua's case, she only had a 1 hour window, like for those really valuable face-to-face conversations about maybe a challenge one of you guys are facing, or maybe an opportunity for you guys to bounce ideas off of each other, right? But in the meantime, consider all those other channels. Like at Collaborative, we have Teams, we have email, we have so many different ways that we can, and there's also text messaging, right? So whatever you guys agree to and are comfortable with, use it by all means. It doesn't always have to be a meeting.
Yeah, and just in the last couple of days, I've started, like pinging DeAndre and just like having a quick chat. And I was like, you know what, this actually works. And this is something that we could just rotate in and put it into our normal schedule. And, oh, I'm gonna go ping DeAndre and just say hello. How are you doing today? How are things going? And I think that really helps with that continued connection.
Yeah.
That's something that definitely helped, because I just noticed while reading the book, Joshua would come up with these little things. Like when he seen the billboard in the book, he immediately wanted Diane, so he just sent her a quick message. Even if she wasn't able to get back to him right then, she was able to get back to him whenever she landed from the flight. And Diane, when she realized something, she automatically wanted to reach out to Josh and talk to him. So that's something I think I was holding back on at the beginning of me and Joshua's relationship. And so that's something that I actually made the goal for myself to start doing more, because it's definitely going to help. And it has helped in the past time that me and Joshua have just been talking on the side a little bit and just waiting for an official meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the book, there was a time, and you reminded me of this, DeAndre, when something happened to Josh. It was the billboard incident, but Diane goes, "Why didn't you tell me?" So if you're a mentee, don't be shy. you know, and you know, reach out, share ideas, let your mentor know, like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm thinking, this is where I might go. You know, like, mentors want to help you. Like Joshua said, she's paying it forward. She's been there, she's done that. We've all been there, done that, right? So if we're into that mentor role, we want to help you. You know, we want to share our knowledge with you, and we want to hear from you. So, you know, don't be shy. Don't be shy.
And Bob, just to kind of answer your question from a mentee perspective, that's definitely when you touch on like what Stacey just said. I was really shy when Joshua first started talking to me, and just knowing how long she's been with the company, and I'm newer, and kind of seeing that break. But it wasn't until I started getting the collaborative culture. It's more like a corporate in a corporate workplace, I like to think of it. But until I actually understood that I can really come up and talk to anybody within the company, it was hard for me to reach out, and it was shy. So maybe a little extra push would have helped me in the long run earlier in the relationship.
Makes sense, especially with a military background. I understand how in command and all that, right? So it's not here.
Sweet. Any closing thoughts from the panel and also the audience? Again, this is your opportunity to talk to us and share your thoughts. I'm looking at the panel, or I'm looking at the list. I think we're all in the clear, but if you do have an idea or you want to send us a thought, go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll be happy to mute you.
So I was actually pretty apprehensive about, you know, oh, I'm going to add another thing to my plate by having to read this book and do this book talk. But once I actually started reading the book, I was like, this is a super easy read, and I'm actually able to really consume like the content and understand it. And I think it'll only make my mentorship relationships better as a mentor and also as a mentee, because now I kind of am like, okay, there's these things that I, you know, maybe I hadn't really thought about before, and it'll help me, you know, moving forward, help us moving forward, DeAndre. So.
Definitely.
Absolutely. I bought the Audible version because I have it on my Kindle, and I bought the Audible version so I could listen to it as I was getting ready, and I got through it really quickly, and it really gave me a lot of things to think about that I'm like, yes, absolutely. Like, why didn't I think about having a mission statement and how important a mission statement is? And even though we have, you know, in a lot of my mentor relationships, we have that as an underlying thing, to have it be something that we can point to, it's tactical, and we can touch it and say, this is our mission statement, I think helps so much more of staying on track and making sure that I am helping this person meet their goals and achieve their goals. And as I'm looking for a more formalized mentor relationship outside of my own specific manager coaching relationship, that I know and I'm a lot more comfortable with what I'm walking into it asking for and what we need to set up from the very beginning to make it be really successful.
Yeah, love that. Love that, Jackie. Thank you. All right, let me give the audience one glance over. Looks like we're in the clear as far as questions are concerned. So let me go ahead and bring this to a close as we only have 2 more minutes left. So you guys, I had an amazing time talking to the panel. So thank you so much for joining us. Bob, thank you for raising your hand. Here's what we're doing over the next few months. Okay, so we already had 2 book talks. This is the second one. We had our first book talk with the author, Claire Diaz-Ortiz, which was really cool, back in December. If you missed that, it's okay. It's recorded. It's on our CS website, and I believe it's also on SharePoint. But we also are recording this one. So this one happened today. This is book talk 2, and we discussed part 1 only of the 1-minute mentoring book. If you guys are interested in picking up this book or maybe starting a mentorship, by all means, feel free to do that. We're going to have another book talk, and we're going to discuss part 2, which is actually a lot smaller than part 1, on February 21st at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you haven't read the book, it's not too late. It's a lot of good content, just like the panel explained. It immediately connects to you, whether you have a mentor now or a mentee now, it doesn't matter. We're all successful because people have been behind us to support us along the way, and those are mentors whether we know it or not. Okay, so the entire goal of this book talk series is to allow us to continue to establish a deeper understanding of where mentoring fits in with you and your organization. So hopefully you guys will join us on February 21st. But in the meantime, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, panel, again. You guys were amazing. I love you. And I hope you guys will be joining us again soon. Thank you, everyone, and have a
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
bye.